Good evening. Welcome to News Now on TV360. I'm Thelma Okoro. At least 10 people were killed and more injured after a concealed bomb went off at a commercial bank in Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria on Friday. The bomb exploded at a branch of the First Bank of Nigeria in Azare in Bauchi State as people queued to withdraw money from a cash machine. Like similar explosions that have occurred recently, no group or person has claimed responsibility for the attacks, but suspicion is likely to fall on Islamic militant group Boko Haram. The group has killed thousands since 2009 in its campaign to set up an Islamic state in northeastern Nigeria. Borno and Yobe are two of the states worst affected by the Boko Haram insurgency. Last month, Nigeria's federal government said it had reached a ceasefire agreement with the group. However, the Boko Haram has released a video saying they denying any deal has been reached between them and the federal government. The Lagos State chapter of the All Progressives Congress APC has described the distribution of the permanent voters card in Lagos today as a failure. INEC began distributing the permanent cards in 11 out of the 20 local government areas in the state today, but the exercise witnessed some hiccups in some places as officials arrived at the distribution centers late. Some voters could not collect their cards. APC spokesman Johnny Bukwe told journalists Friday that the Independent National Electoral Commission has failed. He also said that the party has already advised INEC to shift the date of the exercise forward so as to enable the electoral body prepare and save itself from embarrassment.
We prepared only for them to say yesterday that they are ready to do it in 11, leaving out 9. 11 local governments and leaving out 9. We said okay, but we wanted INEC to go the whole hog and finish and do it in all give us our voters cards in all the permanent voter cards in all the 20 local government. But when they insisted that they must do it in 10, they are ready for 11. We said okay, we mobilize our people to go out en masse to collect their PVC. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the greatest shock of our lives this morning when we mobilize our people to various, those 11 LGS. There was nothing on ground. INEC was not prepared. And then, up to the time I left some centers, there was nothing going on. Somebody told me that they came, the one in Alao said, yeah, via Achiwaju's mother's house, that they came around 4:30. And nothing happened. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is that INEC was not prepared for this exercise. And like the governor said yesterday, for you to go into an election, you have to print the voters' identification materials. You have to print and publish the voters' register. You have to also to conclude the creation of probably new polling booths because the population is increasing. I'm talking about delineation of voting centers. You have to do the actual balloting. There will be collation of results and there will be announcement of results. And I will conclude the exercise. And the only way you can do this is to get prepared. INEC knows that election must take place in Nigeria every 4 years. Local governments say every 3 years. You have to prepare for it. But this is INEC for you. PVC signifies the beginning of the process. Collection of private voters' cards signifies the beginning of the process. If INEC fails or has failed in this, what are they going to do?
A Kano High Court Friday nullified the medical panel set up by the Speaker of the Taraba State House of Assembly, Josiah Kente, to investigate the health status of the governor, Dan Baba Suntai. Justice Silas Haruna, in a 5-hour judgment, said the action of the State's Executive Council and the State Assembly in setting up the panel was a usurpation of the judicial process. The judge also added that Suntai had already filed a suit before the State High Court, challenging the decision of the House of Assembly to stop him from resuming duty, as he transmitted a letter to that effect on August 26, 2013. Haruna ordered the parties not to take further action on Suntai until the determination of the substantive suits at various courts. He noted that any party that was not satisfied with the judgment had 90 days to proceed to appeal. As part of its efforts to tackle the deadly Ebola virus ravaging the West African region, Nigeria's health ministry says the government has offered drugs and supplies worth more than $2,490 to Sierra Leone. A statement signed by Health Ministry spokesperson Ayo Adeshugba said the donation was made as part of a $3.5 million pledge made by Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan towards the fight against Ebola scourge in the sub-African region. Nigeria was declared Ebola-free by the World Health Organization, having recorded no new cases of the highly contagious disease after 6 weeks since August 31st. The government said it was in this light that the West African country was willing to share its experiences and offer support to other African countries in terms of building necessary capacity, management of information, and actual case management in their efforts to contain the Ebola virus disease. According to the World Health Organization, nearly 5,000 people have been killed in the latest deadly outbreak of the disease. Medical charity Medecins Sans Frontières has confirmed that Liberia has seen a significant reduction in the number of new Ebola cases in the country. It said one of its treatment centers in Liberia has no new cases at the moment, but warned that Ebola was still on the rise in Guinea and Sierra Leone. MSF, which employs thousands of staff across West Africa, is seen as the best informed authority on Ebola. Nearly 5,000 people out of 14,000 cases have been killed by the virus. Of the West African countries hit by the 11-month outbreak, Liberia has seen the most deaths, but last weekend its health ministry said 2/3 of the 696 beds in the country's treatment centers were empty. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, News Now continues.
Hi, my name is Dario Adene, but my friends do call me D1. And I'm quite excited. I'm very, very excited about the All Africa Music Awards coming up shortly. It's a big thing, it's a big deal, and I want to encourage all Nigerians, I want to encourage all Africans to rise up and support it. It's our thing, it's our own, so we should embrace it, we should support it, and we should encourage it. Look forward to seeing you there.
Welcome back to News Now. The sum of $191 billion has been saved within the last 3 years through the implementation of the sugar policy. This is according to Nigeria's federal government. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Olusegun Aganga, while speaking at the 4th annual workshop for industry, trade and investment correspondents in Abuja Friday, said, through the implementation of the reforms in the sector, a total investment of $3.2 billion have been made as against $100 million investment in 2011. He put the number of jobs to be created in the sector at over 80,000 as against the 3,850 jobs created in 2011. The Federal Executive Council had at its 37th meeting held in 2012 approved the Sugar Implementation Master Plan for adoption as a government strategic roadmap for the development of the sugar subsector. The policy, which took effect from January 1, 2013, led an outright ban on the importation of refined sugar in retail packs. To international news now. Burkina Faso's interim leader has dismissed the 2-week deadline imposed by the African Union to return power to a civilian government. Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Zida, after talks with opposition parties and civil society, said he was not concerned about impending sanctions for his government. Rather, he was more concerned about the stability of the country. Earlier this week, the African Union gave the military 2 weeks to hand over power to a civilian ruler or face sanctions. The interim leader's remarks come a day after the army, political parties and civil society leaders agreed to a 1-year political transition led by an eminent civilian personality with elections in November 2015. On Wednesday, Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, joined by Presidents Macky Sall of Senegal and John Mahama of Ghana, arrived in Ouagadougou, the capital, for talks aimed at quickening the resolution of the current political crisis. Mass protests first erupted last week when the longtime leader attempted to extend his 27-year Compaoré, who has now fled to Ivory Coast, first seized power in a coup in 1987 and thereafter won 4 disputed elections. To sports now. Nigerian players Vincent Enyama and Ahmed Musa have been included in the 25-man list for the 2014 African Footballer of the Year by the continent's premier football body. The Confederation of African Football released a shortlist for the 2014 African Player of the Year, with both players making the cut in the 25-man list that has reigning African player Yaya Toure of Cote d'Ivoire. Musa and Enyama were part of the Super Eagles squad that won the 2013 African Cup in South Africa and helped Nigeria reach the second round in the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil. In picking up the nominees, CAF took into consideration the performances of the nominees for their national teams and clubs from January to November 2014. The winner will be announced next year, January 8th, in Lagos, Nigeria. Ghana has now selected a new coach. Abraham Grant was the preferred candidate of 5 whose applications were considered. He will be named coach of the Black Stars if he reaches a financial agreement with the country's football association. The former Chelsea boss will replace Appiah, who was sacked following a turbulent World Cup finals in which Ghana failed to advance beyond the group stages. He was eventually replaced by Maxwell Konadu on a temporary basis. Manager of Manchester City, Manuel Pellegrini, says the prospect of selling Yaya Toure has never crossed his mind. Reports emerged that Toure may be let go by City in January after he was sent off in their 2-1 Champions League defeat against CSKA Moscow on Wednesday. But Pellegrini said Toure is a very important player and he has not considered selling him. Toure received a straight red card for pushing CSKA's Roman Eremenko in midweek, meaning he will miss City's crucial Champions League game with Bayern Munich. The 31-year-old was part of an Ivory Coast side that disappointingly lost 2 out of their 3 World Cup games. He was given the news of his brother Ibrahim's death only hours after the team lost their second World Cup match to Colombia. But Toure still made the FIFA shortlist for the 2014 Ballon d'Or prize in October. We've come to the end of news now. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.